2017 has been an interesting year so far. The deeper we get into it, the more we're compelled to think back to a bygone era. A time when the words 3DFX voodoo were the most exciting in the entire English language, and beige was the alpha and omega of technological attire. So pop down your Tamagotchi, pause the Spice Girls album you were listening to by sheer coincidence, and join us as we journey back 20 years to bring you the best PC games of 1997. Just remember, these days, girl power is best expressed by hitting the subscribe button and the bell.
There's something strange about seeing a movie as quintessentially 80s as Blade Runner translated into a game as quintessentially 90s as the point-and-click adventure. It's a double dose of nostalgia that confuses the synapses when you play it in 2017, but back in 97 this was just pure cinematic enjoyment. Taking its cues and rough storyline from the movie, but not specific characters, Blade Runner was blessed with brilliant voice acting and a sense of atmosphere that perfectly captures what Ridley Scott was going for. And alright, there is a bit of scouring scenes pixel by pixel for items and clues, but at least the rewards involve doing your own zoom-in enhanced moments. It's a small price to pay for being able to basically step inside the movie sets.
1997 was the year when partial Annihilation simply wouldn't do. We'd been messing up Soviet bunkers and listening to Tanya shout "Cha-ching!" in Command & Conquer Red Alert for a year by then, and we were rapidly desensitizing to all those mid-sized explosions. Thank goodness Total Annihilation turned up then. Chris Taylor's sci-fi RTS added a level of fidelity to the units, the theatres of war, and the explosions that we simply hadn't seen before on our not yet yellowed CRT monitors. Combat was swift and simple but rewarded smart unit balancing, and many an evening could be lost in its multiplayer skirmishes. If you're excited by the RTS renaissance of 2017, this is the game that it all harks back to.
Back in the days before Fallout was a big brown depository for mods with names like Leandra's Immersive Pipes and Better Bottle Caps HD, it was an honest-to-goodness isometric RPG about the apocalypse. A great one, actually. And the thing about Fallout's 1997 debut is that so much of the later games is present here, albeit in primitive form. Pip-Boy's there to explain character progression to you, the blue and yellow uniforms are present and correct, even the VAT system, touted as Fallout 3's big innovation, is right here in the original. It's just got a bit of dust on it, that's all. There's no dust on the story and dialogue of Fallout though. You could even argue it summons the feeling of wandering a wasteland after the bombs dropped better than its offspring.
What a good idea Dungeon Keeper is. How the team at Bullfrog must have high-fived each other until their palms are raw. It goes like this. You're a baddie, building a dungeon to keep out invading heroes. Mostly, you do this by slapping minions with your Hand of Evil. Who wouldn't want to play that? Sadly, the Dungeon Keeper name doesn't hold the same gravitas in 2017 that it did in 97, thanks to some poorly conceived spin-offs, but the same can be said of the Spice Girls, so I'm not sure what my point is. Dungeon Keeper was good.
Forget Titanic, Quake II was the blockbuster release of 97. Remember, Doom was only 4 years ago, and Quake had already reinvented the first-person shooter just 1 year previously. So for id to do it again, with something as gorgeous and ultra-violent as Quake II, it was enough to reach out and caress the mandatory John Carmack poster everyone had in our bedrooms at the time. The 90s were weird. The plot's not much to shout about 20 years later. You're a guy shooting Strogg, end of. But the shooting, lighting and set pieces still glimmer with a bit of the old magic.
In case you are wondering whether the games industry has become more or less risk-averse in the last 2 decades, remember Abe's Oddysee. It's a game about an alien thingamajig who farts and whistles his way out of oppression and emancipates his enslaved kin from the clutches of an evil corporation. Edgy stuff in 97. A red-nosed Dragon's Den pitch today. Still, if not for this game, you probably have never whistled a secret password to unlock a hidden cave entrance which avoided several murderous robot hound things. An invaluable gaming rite of passage. Platformers weren't really in vogue on PC in the 90s, but Abe won us over with inventive puzzle mechanics and an overwhelming weirdness that demanded attention.
Even Liam Gallagher and Tony Blair wanted Lara Croft's autograph in 97. Celebs didn't come any bigger than this, literally. Eidos still hadn't sorted out those improbable proportions. Tomb Raider 2 wasn't a massive departure from the original game that came just a year before it, but by the time of its sequel, Lara had become such a pop culture phenomenon that everyone probably would have been happy with a few levels set around Dagenham. As it happens, we got a lot more. China's Great Wall, a trip to Venice, an offshore rig, the mountains of Tibet, and numerous actual tombs to raid. Tomb Raider 2 didn't strike much of a chord with animal rights activists, but it was a heck of an adventure.
Monkey Island was already a nailed-on iconic destination in PC gaming before 1997 arrived, but the beautifully drawn threequel, Curse of Monkey Island, only strengthened the franchise position as everyone's favourite piratical point-and-click. No one can weave jokes as artfully into convoluted item-combining puzzles as that LucasArts team in their heyday. And that's just as well, because it'd be absolutely no fun to schlep around with all kinds of combs, sticks, coins, buckets of spit, bits of string and wigs in your pocket without a few laughs to keep you going.
While id Software were busy finding new ways to make the first-person shooter a dark and frankly upsetting experience, LucasArts had another vision. They turned it into a vehicle for a family-friendly trilogy of films called Star Wars. Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 is about dead parents, vengeance, and finding the only droid that can read a particular disc. You know, Star Wars stuff. But really, it was just a great excuse to shoot stormtroopers with a laser rifle in 3D. That was all it needed to do, and it ticked that box emphatically.
We're spoiled to the possibility now, but in 1997, the idea of living a completely different life in a fantasy realm was the stuff of dreams. Dreams that Richard Garriott, aka Lord British, made real with Ultima Online. It was one of the prototypical MMOs that laid the foundations for all you see before you in 2017. No, not those big-chested cat girls in chainmail negligees frolicking in free-to-play coins. Look in the other direction. That's right. WoW, EVE Online, the Old Republic. It all began with these caped sprites pretending they were farmers and patiently typing medievalisms at each other. Oh.
Right, time to come back to the present day now. Sorry. Perhaps this year's crop of PC games will stand the test of time in much the same way. Anyway, here's to another 20 years of PC gaming. Tell us which games from your misspent youth we missed in the comments below, and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed our picks.